How far will the stock market drop? We have an exciting week behind us, another one ahead. The US presidential election, nobody knows the outcome yet, but we can see the chart and see how the market participants react on what we've had so far. So let's have a look at the Wall Street, what the charts are telling us and how we shall react as a trader. So let's start with the S&P 500. In this case, the future contract, the December contract. You can see this is a CME future, the E-mini S&P. If you trade anything else, maybe some kind of a CFD, depending on the country you're living in, or some other contracts, please check that the levels are the same. Maybe the prices are a little bit different, but on the other side, you can find out the old highs and lows, and you can measure from that points to find the correct levels. So I'm keeping on with this one, and I will start with the low here in March, the low we've seen after the Corona crash, and the market went up to September. Early in September we had a high so far, and we had all this is something really dynamic, really strong moving market. We say it's an impulsive move here. But after the impulsive move, we had some kind of a setback, and we want to see now how far will this go, or can we expect that the market will turn? Because I can imagine that some of the market participants now are afraid of, how far will the market drop? Can we expect some turning here? What shall we do? So let's have some look at the theoretical part here. We had a strong move to the upside. Let's measure this part here as the move we've have seen so far from the March lows up to the September highs, and that's what we've seen so far. It looks like an ABC pattern. This is of course a standard pattern here. ABC is always marking some kind of a corrective pattern, a counter trend movement, and that's exactly, or more or less exactly, what we have currently here. We have an ABC pattern currently here, which is indicating this might be a corrective pattern currently. If that's the case, the question is how far will the market move down, and how long will this take to see something? Let's bring it up and compare the movement so far. This is the 38.2 level, and we can check, okay, this is a little bit far away. Is there a chance to estimate how far we dropped already? Here's the 23.6% Fibonacci retracement level. And we can see, okay, this is a little bit far from that point. And even if we draw something like a trend channel, this is not completely fitting, but this is bringing us near to that level. So let's estimate roughly halfway of it. Maybe here might be 30%, just to imagine how high the chances are that the low is there. Okay, let's check how far this is going down. So we want to compare the second wave to the first wave and see what we got already in this case. So it is not a 20% drop, it is a 30% drop. So what we estimated. We are currently noting around this level here, 25%, roughly, a little bit less, I guess. But 30% is still on the left-hand side of the high probability area here. So if you want to see more about this one, I have an extra video on this. I will link this here. You can just check the other video as well to understand how these curves and these areas are working. Don't get me wrong. It's not about the level here. There are no numbers here on the left-hand side. It's all about the area, the size of area, which is indicating how high the probabilities are here in this case. So roughly said 30%, you can see, okay, the higher probability is that the market needs to drop a little bit lower because we have a higher area here on this side of the chart. So this is indicating that even when the market is dropping through this level, chances are quite high that that's not the perfect low to turn the market. So even levels like this are not high probability, the market definitely will turn in this case. On the other side, it can. If we reach this level, we still have a chance that this is low enough for turning, but it's not the highest probability at all. So let's check another thing. How shall we expect or what we can expect from the markets now. It's concerning the time. So this is the first part, starting from the low in March, ending in September. And you can see the numbers here. This is 100%. All of the length of the bull market is 100%. And if we compare this with this part, we can see we are here, currently we are even before the 38.2% level. And maybe we'll take some more days, which is leading us to the 38.2 level. Just let's have a peek what this means. Let's go again to the same chart, but in this case we are checking time. So we are comparing the second wave, the corrective time, compared to the bull market time. And we can see 38.2, which is roughly here, which is at least in the red area, but it's still on the left-hand side of the red area. So I would expect, yes, if we have seen such a time, there's a good chance that this is the low, but probability is that we will need a little bit longer time. But I think this is acceptable. So I think at least somewhere around this level, we should expect some kind of a low. Maybe it's even a little bit more in the future and it's a little bit lower, but roughly around this level. So I don't see any chance by probability that we've seen the low already and that the market immediately will go to the upside. On the other side, many people I think would guess this anyway, because we have the presidential election ahead. So many people say, who is daring to buy the markets now? We don't know what the outcome is and how the market will react on the first results and will it be accepted or not. So yeah, I think currently it's the best guess to say that the market needs a further drop, that the market will continue to the downside a little bit more. This is very, very typical and we should absolutely expect this. It's never ever a 100% chance. You could see that we are in the area already. At any time, even in this gray area here, we have a chance that the market can turn. There is a kind of probability, but this probability is very low. It's only 20% for this one. So you have 80% against you. So it's not a best guess to bet against these probabilities. The market definitely will turn. But as soon as we are in the red area, which is altogether is indicating 60% of probability. But if you're at the left-hand end of this part, you would guess, okay, it's only a small part of the red area. So it's still higher probability that it needs a little bit more. So that's how to read these levels here. And this is indicating, okay, there is high probability that we need to go here first before we will turn. So let's have a look on a lower time frame. For example, the 4-hourly chart, we can see a little bit more details. We can see that this pattern is something like a 3-wave pattern. And also this one, a strong move here, something like a shaky in the middle, and a strong move here. It's also an ABC pattern. And this looks finally a little bit faster than the others. Is there anything in the typical behavior of a chart movement which is looking the same? Yes, it is. We call it a flat movement. And let's check it. It's an ABC to the downside. This was the early in September. ABC to the downside, ABC to the upside, and a strong move to the downside. You can see this is marked with a 5-wave move, which is typically indicating a trend, a strong trend, an impulse. You might remember this from this part here, or to the downside, it looks a little bit like this one. So you can see, okay, this is something which might be the case currently. And if we compare this to the typical pattern behavior, we can see, these flats are very common. They are 1/3 of all cases we have a flat movement. And together with the double sideways, which also looks nearly the same, we have a 50% chance that this pattern occurs in a corrective situation. And that's exactly what we're expecting. After this strong move here to the upside, we expect something corrective. We are expecting some ABC move to the downside, an ABC move to the upside, and a strong move to the downside. To be honest, I was expecting that the market will overshoot it a little bit and turn then. That's because the typical pattern of a flat, you can see this is a little bit higher than this one. This is a little bit more typical. You can see by probability, chances are very high that the second wave is a little bit longer than 100%. It does not necessarily need this to be longer. It can be a little bit less. And in this case, it was a little bit less. But you can see it's roughly around 100%, sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower. In this case, it was a little bit lower, obviously. So it is perfectly fitting into this picture. We had a strong move to the upside, a pattern which is really common for a corrective pattern, and a size which is quite common in this case. So it is perfectly fitting. We need to go a little bit lower. And we can also guess a little bit how long is the third wave compared to the first wave, for example. Also, this is something we can guess. Compare the third wave compared to the first wave. You can see, it is longer than the first one. Okay, it is typically 140, 150, something in the midst of this one, but minimum, not really minimum, but typically minimum 100% and not double, normally not more than double as long. So let's guess what this means. So we can compare the first wave here, which is starting here in September, going down to end of September and here, and we should expect something. I bring it up so you can see it a little bit easier. 100% is here. And we could see this 100% is at the very beginning of the probability curve. So we should expect, yeah, it's possible the market is only going here, but it could be easily a little bit far more down here. Let's say into this region, or 161.8%, which is roughly here, which is indicating, yeah, that we have a good chance that we will reach this area. So we have probability-wise very good indications that we will reach roughly some area around this. It's not absolutely sure. Could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower, but this would be the high probability range. So if you cannot read the numbers, it is roughly between 2,900 and 3,150. It's a best guess to expect that the market will reach this area. But what is coming next? If this is done, we should expect that the strong move will continue, because this one is really a strong move here. And typically after this first moves down, after you have the first up, the first move down is a corrective pattern, is the second wave, you have a continuation to the upside. And even if it's not this picture, even if it's only this one, after the first to the upside, here's the September high, the down move we are currently in, we should expect that the market will continue. So I'm quite bullish with the market. Not now, obviously not now. I see the better chances that the market will drop into this area here. But after that, I'm absolutely convinced that we have very good chances. Let's say it like this. It's not a promise, but it's a very high chances that we will continue to the upside. More or less like this. It can be a little bit steeper, even a little bit steeper. It could be a little longer than this. It could also vary a little bit going more to the right-hand side. But even in this case, it's promising higher levels here, price levels in this case. So I think that's the chances that we have with the broad market with the S&P 500. It's a little bit funny to see this because we have so many open issues currently. The presidential election, for example, we have the corona situation, we have the conflict with China. So we never know what will happen, of course. There's a chance that this is completely wrong and the market is dropping lower. But that's the reason why we use and apply stops. So if we are completely wrong, no worries at all. We will stop out and the market will go down and fall wherever it needs to go. But in this case, what we see currently, these are the best chances that this will happen, just by probability. So if you want to see how can I prepare for that? Expect the market to go down. Maybe you can sell short the market at any case that the market is bringing you some strong moves to the downside and some corrective pattern to the upside. Then you can think of a continuation to the downside. You can find this situation in any chart and any time frame, so don't worry about it's not coming here. Maybe you will find it in a 15-minute chart, maybe on an hourly or 4-hourly chart, or even sometimes in a daily chart that you will see something like a strong move and an ABC setback is always the same. So just look for this. To be honest, on a very low time frame, 15 minutes, for example, it might be a good opportunity to buy the market for a short instance at least, because we have a strong move to the upside. A possible corrective pattern would give us an opportunity to enter the market on the long side. I will bring some other videos in the future, so don't miss the opportunity to subscribe to these videos, because I will bring up some other about setups and triggers, which is really, really important to understand where to enter the market, where to drop out, and where to wait a little bit longer until the market is giving us more evidence that the market will continue in the way we want him to go. So in this case, the market, this intermediate high would give us an opportunity to enter the long side, but not to reach these levels. It's only to have something like this again. This looks a little bit funny. How can he think about going long in the market as long as he's telling us that the market will drop? This is only an intermediate long position with a good risk-reward ratio and the chance to wait a little bit before the market will drop any further, because it's really typical that the market sometimes coming back a little bit and then coming back a little bit and then continue to the downside a little bit later. So this is a very typical situation, and if you see this, you will see, okay, we have some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situation, and this is exactly what we expect in this at the end of the flat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situation. So this is just an estimation how it could be. Have a look by yourself and see what you find out there. Of course, these kind of videos are not very suitable for the short-term trading, because I'm only updating this once a week, maybe in the future 2 times a week. So it depends on how much likes I have and followers I have. I will update these a little bit more regularly. On the other side, I also provide some information intraday on your smartphone. So if you're interested in this, just drop a line, just send me an email or send a request here, and I can give you more information how you can get this as well. It's a quite new service in English. I have this running in German, but if you're not able to speak German, no problems at all. I try at least, I'm sorry about that, but I'm trying at least to speak English so that you have this information as well. Okay, so let's have a look on the other charts. For example, the Nasdaq. It is roughly the same what we've seen before, so we can just go through it a little bit faster. Also here, we still did not reach the 38.2 level. It's a little bit, maybe it's not too fast, but it is, I think, a good opportunity to wait for a drop like this. The argumentation is roughly the same. The ABC to the downside, ABC to the upside, and continuing to the downside. All the measurements are roughly the same, which will at least lead to somewhere. Let's pick this up again. Roughly around this 38.2 level, which is, let's say, 10,235. In this case, it's the Nasdaq future December contract. So please check it out by yourself. But you can measure this one. It's an ABC to the downside, should be the same length. We've measured this for a flat situation. It should start ending here. So that's difficult. It's not ending here, the down move. The size-wise, it should start ending here. It could be lower, maybe here around the 38.2% level. It could be roughly here. So deep inside this very typical areas here. So don't expect the market to turn too early. But on the other side, with the presidential election, maybe we will have some good news, depending on what you guess good news is. We don't know it yet. But if the market is thinking so, there's a chance that the market will turn a little bit earlier than usual. But in any cases, I would not go long before we reach this level here on the bigger time scale. On the other side, after that, I see good chances that the market will continue to the upside. You can easily think about what can happen in this case. It's also here it's not a promise. We don't know the lowest point. We don't know how the outcome is, but we could expect that the market afterwards will continue to the upside and bring some bullish picture. But currently we should stay with the bear market here on the lower time frames, for example, in the 4-hourly charts. Only the very short term, for example, 5 minutes, 15-minute charts. This is weekend time, so no market is moving. But you can see it's a strong move, what we have here. And it's the same, like talking about this one here. After a setback, we can expect a continuation to the upside. Expect the market to drop, not to drop, to overshoot these intermediate level here. And then the market at least continue for a while, so that we can see something similar to this one and expect, this is continuing here. But I'm not sure the market will overshoot very long. And of course, it's not given that the market will do now, because this alone is no evidence for a bull market. We have had this here, for example. We also had this here, for example. What we also need is that the next move is shaky. ABC pattern, something going back and forth, overlapping chart patterns. Yeah, but we did not get this here. Shaky. No, we did not get it here. So clear indications, don't go long, don't buy in this situation. So if we get something like this, we definitely would not buy this market. Definitely not. Only if the market is giving us a really weak indication like this, so we can compare. This is strong. Yes. This is strong. No, it's not. It's weak. It's really shaky. It's not showing any interest in a strong movement here. So in this case, when the market is overshooting the last intermediate high, okay, let's buy for a short while and see what happens. At least trail the stop to these levels and wait, or take profits here, just a 101% or 100% projection here, and expect that the market will turn then. So all the best guesses are indicating no, we are not there. We might have another bad week ahead with lower prices. Maybe the Dow Jones can be better. So let's have a look here as well. And the situation is roughly the same, so we don't need to dig too deep here as well. But on the other side, we have a little bit a better ABC pattern here, which is for some people giving the impression, okay, not so bad looking here. It looks like an ABC, could be at the end here. Yeah, but not typically. First of all, we know this is the last up movement, and very often the market loves to go back to the very beginning of that, which is indicating we should drop below the 25,000 first of all. The second is we did not reach the 38.2% as well, so there are good chances that the market will continue to the downside, and I'm not very sure that the current situation with the market and the Nasdaq and the broad market, the S&P 500, will bring the Dow Jones, in this case the December contract future, to higher levels while the rest of the world is falling. So in this case, it's not so clear from that picture. So I would not necessarily think that the market will turn down if I only see this market, but compared with all the other markets and in combination with the lower targets here in this level, I would not buy this market either. And if you go to a lower time level, for example 15 minutes, you could see that here we had this low here. So we can think about, is this a bull market? Is this this part is not so bad, but this is really bad. No, the market is coming back. But if you compare this one, this is definitely something not like a bull market, like a hot bull market looking. It looks like a typical ABC or shaky movement to the other side. It looks like a contra move. So going against the main trend, which is coming down. So in all of these indices, I don't see so big buying opportunity currently. I might be completely wrong. Of course, anything can happen, but as a trader, I should not guess, or I should not have some guts and saying, I think this will happen next, and I have a good reason for that. No, I'm going with a probability on one part and comparing this. What is the market doing? And as long as the market is not giving me a strong indication that the market will buy, the whole market will buy, which looks like this, and the counterparts, the sellers, gave up, which looks like this, I'm definitely not willing to invest much money into this market. I would stand at the sideline and say, okay, let's wait for lower lows. Or for me as a trader, as an active trader, when getting this, and after this we will get something like this, I want to try to continue to the downside. So this is just a first glance for this week. We will have some really important information about the presidential election, and will the results be accepted by the presidents or by the followers? We will see that. There's a lot of uncertainty currently in the market. We should have an open eye on what we get. Don't buy too early, but don't be too afraid, because there are some good support levels ahead, and there's a good chance that after that the market will continue. So I hope this gives you some extra information, some input, and leads you for better trading ideas. I hope so, at least. Please subscribe so that you don't miss any new videos. I will constantly bring something new here on this channel. Give me some time, but the more likes I have, the more followers I have, the more regularly I can bring up new content, and I'm willing to do so because I'm in love with the markets and I really love chart technical analysis. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about this in the future. So have a good week, stay healthy, and good trading results.